Most kids start a lemonade stand to make some extra cash, but Dax was playing a much darker game. He opened a barber shop in his garage, and even though his fades were terrible, every kid was lining up for a $5 buzz cut. Step up, who's next? It was like the social event of the summer. Everybody was hanging out, listening to music, laughing at how bad the haircuts were. Bro, you look goofy. What? But Miles noticed something weird. After every haircut, Dax was picking up some of the hair and putting it in a Ziploc bag. Huh. Once the day was over, Dax had cut like 15 people's hair. Miles stuck around and asked him, "Bro, why were you putting hair in bags? Hey, check this out." He brought him to a shelf, and on that shelf was hundreds of Ziploc bags. Each of them had hair in it, and each of them were labeled. This is Miles from August 12th. This one is Cooper from July 4th. Look at all this. I have the genetic blueprint of the entire 8th grade right here, labeled and dated. Miles just laughed. "Bro, you're weird." But Dax leaned in. "Everybody thinks I'm a bad barber." Which is true, but they don't realize I got a much bigger plan. Next time someone does me dirty, steals my seat at lunch, makes fun of me, I'm gonna find a crime scene anywhere, and I'm gonna drop their hair right in the middle of it. What? Let's say Miles calls me a loser. Well, I hear sirens. I follow the sirens. A crime scene. There was a murder. Miles goes right on the floor. The police. Whose hair is this? They go to the computer. It's Miles. Miles goes to prison for murder. Bro, that is so messed up. And it was. And obviously, that really wouldn't work. But Miles made sure to stay Dax's friend, just in case. You would hate for some of his hair to end up at a crime scene. Most teachers use seating charts to help keep the peace, but Mr. Miller used his in a different way. For the first month, Miller studied the room. He figured out exactly who was best friends and who couldn't stand each other. Then he released a mandatory seating chart. Okay, everybody, this seating chart is law, unless somebody has an offer. That's when he introduced the daily waiver. For the price of a premium snack and a cold drink, one student per day could buy their way into the seat right next to their friend. But that's the catch. He only did one trade per class. And it was actually kind of fun. The students loved this. Every morning it was like an auction, so he has to pick out the best of the snacks. I have Takis and a Capri Sun. Nah. I have milk and tuna. No, I got Airhead sour strips and an orange crush. Deal. And that's what he did the entire year. The kids thought it was pretty awesome, so in turn, they respected him, and the behavior was pretty good. The principal thought he was a genius, and Mr. Miller always had the best snacks. Every school had a dead zone, a room in the basement or a locked corner of the gym where chairs and desks go to die. Most people see a pile of trash, but to Mr. Henderson, it was a gold mine. The school budget for furniture was pretty much zero. If a chair leg snapped or the top of a desk cracked, it wasn't getting replaced. So for a decade, the chair graveyard grew. They see a mess, but I see a spare heart for the chair in room 203. Mr. Henderson didn't just guard the room. He was pretty much a furniture surgeon. He had a specific system. When one chair broke, he knew which piece to grab from the graveyard. He was swapping around parts like he was Frankenstein. See, this one can be saved, but this one's too far gone. Except that leg is looking pretty nice. I'll take this and I'll put it here. It's fixed. Well, the legend started when a group of 10th graders tried to steal a few chairs. So they go into this graveyard. Quick, grab one. So they tried to grab a few chairs, but this is when it happened. They pulled out one chair and the entire mountain collapsed right onto them. And Mr. Henderson was in the corner of the room watching. Well, boys. Trying to steal my stash? He obviously helped them up and gave them a few band-aids for their scrapes. And the punishment for breaking into the room and trying to steal the chairs, they had to reorganize it and stack everything back up perfectly. You gotta love Mr. Henderson. My home office has a window, and it directly faces my neighbor's living room window, 3 feet away. And that was Toby. And for 6 months, Toby has not worked a single day without being watched. Every morning at 9 a.m. as Toby's sitting down at his desk to begin his work from home assignments, a tabby cat named Barnaby would take his position in his neighbor's living room windowsill, directly across from Toby. And the cat wouldn't sleep. He would just stare at Toby, right in his eyes, every day. It kind of creeped him out. It was this cat's routine. Well, by month 3, Toby kind of snapped. He decided if the cat wanted a show, he was gonna give him a show. It started with Toby finding a video titled Video for Cats, and he turned it around and faced it right towards Barnaby. Well, Barnaby wasn't impressed. The next day, Tony danced for Barnaby. It wasn't good, but he danced. Barnaby perked up. You could tell. He was responding to this. Well, the next day he put on a puppet show. I'm a puppet. Me too! Oh look, there's a cat! Now I also want to mention that Barnaby was an indoor-outdoor cat. One night as Toby was going to the store, he opens his front door and he sees a dead mouse sitting there on his porch. He got rid of the mouse, but every day after that, he kept receiving more and more items. A neighbor's gardening glove, a Hanes sock, a literal $1 bill. So he installed a camera doorbell to see what was going on, and he found the culprit. It was Barnaby, leaving gifts for Toby every night. It was like he was paying him for this entertainment he's been receiving. And ever since that day, Toby and Barnaby were best friends. Barnaby always sat in that opposite windowsill. Toby was always at his desk working. Until one day, Barnaby wasn't there. Toby was concerned. The next day, again, Barnaby, nowhere to be seen. So he goes over to his neighbor's house, knocks on the door. Barnaby had passed away. And Toby was heartbroken. Rest in peace, Barnaby. This kid, let's call him Steven. He spent an entire year saving up. We're talking birthday money, pulling weeds, every $5 bill he could find. He didn't use that money to buy games or food or candy or nothing. He bought a gallon of slate gray paint, some shelves, a desk, and some other things. He spent his entire spring break sanding the floors of his room, painting the walls, setting up his desk and his computer, all by himself. By the time he was done, he had the best room in the entire house. I did it. Steven then went to a 3-day science camp. Well, on Sunday, when it was over, he gets dropped off back at his house, and he enters through the garage. And in the garage, he sees it. His desk, his bed, his shelves, just sitting there in the middle of the garage. What is going on? So he sprints upstairs. Well, the door to his room is locked, and he hears music coming from it. Well, his sister finally opens it. The gray paint was gone. It had been covered in a cheap coat of white, and his sister's ring light was right by the window. Her bed was there, with pink bedding. It was completely different. That's when his dad came out. Oh yeah, son, by the way, we moved your stuff out of your room. We figured your sister could have a better use for it. You see, his sister was a wannabe TikTok content creator, and he said her content was suffering because her old room had no natural light. And since Steven fixed up the room so nicely, it was the perfect studio for her. Where am I supposed to go? Well, your stuff's in the garage, son. Why don't you go build something in there? He spent his own money to renovate a room that he wasn't even allowed to keep. Another instance of horrible parents. This kid, let's call him Steven. He spent an entire year saving up. We're talking birthday money, pulling weeds, every $5 bill he could find. He didn't use that money to buy games or food or candy or nothing. He bought a gallon of slate gray paint, some shelves, a desk, and some other things. He spent his entire spring break sanding the floors of his room, painting the walls, setting up his desk and his computer, all by himself. By the time he was done, he had the best room in the entire house. I did it. Steven then went to a 3-day science camp. Well, on Sunday, when it was over, he gets dropped off back at his house, and he enters through the garage. And in the garage, he sees it. His desk, his bed, his shelves, just sitting there in the middle of the garage. What is going on? So he sprints upstairs. Well, the door to his room is locked, and he hears music coming from it. Well, his sister finally opens it. The gray paint was gone. It had been covered in a cheap coat of white, and his sister's ring light was right by the window. Her bed was there, with pink bedding. It was completely different. That's when his dad came out. Oh yeah, son, by the way, we moved your stuff out of your room. We figured your sister could have a better use for it. You see, his sister was a wannabe TikTok content creator, and he said her content was suffering because her old room had no natural light. And since Steven fixed up the room so nicely, it was the perfect studio for her. Where am I supposed to go? Well, your stuff's in the garage, son. Why don't you go build something in there? He spent his own money to renovate a room that he wasn't even allowed to keep. Another instance of horrible parents. You must clean the dish before you put it in the dishwasher. What? Kenny's mom had this incredibly specific belief that the dishwasher was only meant for sanitizing, not cleaning. If you put a plate in there with a smear of sauce on it, she would pull each and every dish out of there, give you a lecture, and make you wash every dish before you put it back in. Kenny, look at this. A smudge of barbecue sauce. Take these all out, rewash them, and put them in the dishwasher. Kenny spent 45 minutes every single night scrubbing clean plates and cups before putting it in the machine. He'd be there scrubbing, looking at it. Mom, it's literally called the dishwasher. Can't we just start putting them in there and that's it? No, Kenny. He does this for years. Scrub dish, put dish in dishwasher, dishwasher run, dish done. One day he goes to his friend Steve's house. They have dinner there. His mom takes all these greasy, messy, nasty plates and puts them directly in the dishwasher. So Steve, your mom just puts them in the dishwasher? Yeah, it's a dishwasher, Kenny. washes the dishes. Kenny then realized he spent years doing a pointless task because of his mom's OCD. Mom, Steve's dishwasher cleans their dishes just fine. Yeah, well, Steve's family probably shares a shower towel, so, jeez. I think she needs a therapist. Nothing is worse than being grounded in the last week of summer. Ryan's entire friend group had been together since kindergarten, but tomorrow, more than half of them were going to a different high school, so they were gonna be split up. And this night was their last hurrah. It was the goodbye. But Ryan's mom didn't care about this. She cared that Ryan forgot to take the trash out on Wednesday. I don't care if it's an end of an era, Ryan. You show lack of responsibility. You are not going to that bonfire. The bonfire was the event, cross town at one of the buddies' houses. So that night, Ryan sat at his window, watching the group chat blow up with pictures of s'mores, the bonfire, smiling and laughing faces. It was the night his childhood was ending. He thought it was over, until he hears people talking outside of his house. Huh? What? He looks out and he sees Cam and his entire group of friends pulling lawn chairs out of Cam's dad's truck. All right, guys, grab them all. I got mine. Yeah, me too. They set up a portable grill in Ryan's driveway. They all sat around it, and they began roasting marshmallows. What are you guys doing? If you can't come to the fire, we're bringing the fire to you. So Ryan goes down there, and he joins them. Not long after, his mom comes out. She's angry. But just as she's about to snap, a minivan pulls up, and one of the kids' parents comes out. They're not there to pick up the kid. They're there to join. Oh, hey, Carla. Steven said that you were having a bonfire in the driveway. We're here to join you. So, to not look like a horrible mother, she just said, yeah, grab a seat. I'll go get some drinks for us. And just like that, 10 kids, 6 parents, and a golden retriever all hanging out in her driveway. And she realized she wasn't just about to be a strict mom. She was about to be the person that ruined these kids' summer. The last one they'll get like this. The night ended, the kids said their goodbyes, they went their separate ways. And that just proves it. When the group is strong enough, not even the grounding of the century could stop the party. It's beautiful. Every single morning, this kid bought the same thing from the vending machine. Sugar-free lemonade. Yum. The same vending machine, the same drink, every morning. It was his routine. Well, one morning he drops his coins in. What the heck? Clink, clink, nothing. The machine is not recognizing this money at all. He tries to press the button to get his coins back, but nothing was happening. Okay, must be broken. So he goes to the office and tells them. They say that they have no control over the vending machines at all. So he wrote on a piece of paper, "Do not use out of order," and he tapes it to that vending machine. Okay, perfect. Now nobody else will waste their money here. Hero moment. The next morning he goes to the vending machine and the paper is gone. So he assumes, oh cool, they must have fixed it. What the heck? Still broken. His coins just gone. Nothing's registering. He cannot get his drink. So he's irritated now. He makes another piece of paper. Do not use out of order. He tapes it on there. This time he checks on it at lunch and the piece of paper is gone. But the machine is still broken. Somebody is taking his paper off but not fixing the machine. People are probably wasting their money here. He didn't want people to make the same mistake he was doing, but he was like, why are they taking this down? So he goes to the principal again, makes the principal call the vending machine company. They come out and they fix it. Yeah. But all the money he put in there was gone. They wouldn't give him a refund. But hey, at least he got the vending machine fixed. And he got to have his sugar-free lemonade again. This kid rode his bike to a grocery store. Yeah. He's using some of his summer job paycheck money to buy some snacks, chips, and sweets. He buys them, goes outside, and sets down the bag while he's unlocking his bike. Okay, I'll set you right here, unlock the bike. When he unlocks his bike and looks around, the bag is missing. Where is it? That's when he sees this kid, younger than him, stuffing this stuff in his backpack. And the kid runs home. Yo, what the heck? That's it, I'm gonna follow him. He takes his bike and follows his kid to his house. Knocks on the door. The mom answers. Yes? He stays calm. Yeah, your son took my stuff. I got some groceries and some snacks. I saw him put it in his backpack and run away. I just want it back. My kid would never steal. I saw him do it. If you don't leave my house right now, I'm calling the police because of harassment. Well, he doesn't leave. They call the police, and 5 minutes later, the cops show up. They hear both sides. They then say, kid, open your backpack, please. Okay. And there the stuff was. Chips, sweets, everything. Yeah. Give it back, please. Give him the stuff back. Cops leave, the mom shuts the door in this kid's face, and they go their separate ways. But that's so embarrassing for that mom. That kid didn't learn anything because a couple days later, he went to the guy's house that he stole stuff from, and he threw eggs at it. What a little jerk. His name was Frog Boy, and he was the weird kid at this one school. Froggy, Puggy Wuggy. Every single day before class, he would be in the woods behind the school, catching frogs, lizards, and raising tadpoles in a Home Depot bucket. Grow, little tadpoles. Grow into frogs. And every day he would walk into class smelling like pond water. Yo, Frog Boy smells extra froggy today. But in class, he would have so much pent-up energy. He couldn't sit still, and every single teacher knew this. Kevin, why don't you go take a lap around the school, okay? Okay. They would often let him leave school and run around the building and come back to tire himself out. In different classes, other kids would be doing math, and they would look out the window to see Frog Boy running by. 2 + 2 is 6. He would also just do crazy stuff, like one week he super glued all the woodshop tools to the wall. It's a masterpiece. My tools! Another week he went into the kitchen and spread flour everywhere. It looks like it snowed in here. My kitchen! And it was like that for a long time. Well, fast forward years later. One of his old classmates is at home scrolling through his phone when he stumbles on a viral motocross clip. Yo, that's sick. It's a clip of a guy on a dirt bike going off this huge ramp and doing a backflip. That's when the old classmate realizes, wait, that's frickin' Frog Boy! Frog Boy was now a professional motocross rider, and he was very rich. I'm just happy he used his energy for something awesome like that. Hey, go Frog Boy. In elementary school, this guy had one friend. I have one friend. It's me. But the thing is, this kid got bullied a lot. So whenever his friend hung out with him at school, his friend would also get bullied. Dude, whenever I hang out with you, your bully also bullies me. I know, I'm sorry. So they made a rule. They wouldn't hang out at school. They wouldn't hang out at recess. They weren't friends in class. They only hung out after school where nobody could see them. That's messed up. So at school, this kid was pretty much alone. Well, one day during recess, a popular kid asked him if he wanted to kick a ball around. Hey bro, you wanna play kickball with me? Sure. This was completely out of nowhere. He was shocked. This never happened to him. Well, they started actually having fun. That's when the popular kid said this. Dude, this is fun, man. You're not as bad as your friend says you are. What? Turns out that kid's friend was bullying him behind his back, starting bad rumors about how bad of a guy he was, being a complete two-faced jerk. He stopped talking to his friend altogether, even after school. And he actually became pretty good friends with the popular guy. Hey, what's up, Carl? Bro, leave us alone, man. We're having a conversation. Yeah, jerk. What a horrible friend. This is nuts. So one day, this kid slapped another student with a ruler. Hey, Billy. Everybody laughs. Even he did. Nobody gets in trouble. Well, for some reason, witnessing this kid slap another kid with a ruler ignited something in them. Because the next day, tons of kids came to school with their own rulers. Of all different kinds. Wood ones, metal ones, plastic ones. And just like that, the hallways turn into medieval combat zones. My turn! Mr. Kevin, no! Milk. School staff started confiscating rulers from everybody, but there was so many kids with rulers, it was very hard to do so. And just like that, another ban. The school banned rulers. If anybody was caught with a ruler, it was taken and they would get a detention. If they were caught 3 times with a ruler, they would get suspended. Now you might be asking, hey, Elliot, what about the classes where rulers are required, like geometry or something? Well, those teachers would pass the rulers out at the beginning of class and collect them at the end. But still, these kids must have been obsessed with rulers, because that sounds crazy. When he was 10, his grandpa asked him, what do you want for your birthday? And he says, a brick. A brick, why? Because my parents still have this super old TV. If I throw a brick at the TV, we'll have to get a new one. Oh, I'm just kidding. Maybe just some Pokemon cards or something. The grandpa just smiles and nods. A couple months later, this kid's birthday comes around, and there's a beautifully wrapped present on the table. Heavy, perfect corners. The kid opens it. Inside was a single brick. The grandpa's losing it. You're crazy. I can't believe you remembered. And the grandpa leans in and says real quiet to him, wait till your mom's in the kitchen and then waste the TV. So the kid's mom goes into the kitchen to grab the cake. The kid takes the brick, smashes it in the TV. TV is destroyed. What happened here? Now we gotta get a new TV. Yes. The grandpa took the blame for throwing the brick at the TV. I don't know why I did that. Then the kid says, it's okay, Mom, please don't be mad at Grandpa. I'll help you pick out the new TV. Okay, fine, you're right. It's okay, Pops. You'll be okay. Just sit down and relax. I'll clean this up. The mom then leaves to grab the broom. Nice work, kid. I love you, Grandpa. What a nice story. His little brother took video games so seriously. Every time he lost a match, he would lose his frickin' mind. What the? This sucks. Stomping around, throwing things, and the room right below him was the older brother's. Dude, shut up. His ceiling fan would literally be shaking every time his little brother would lose it. And this went on until 2, sometimes 3 in the morning. Now, he tried asking him all the time, bro, can you please be quieter? Dude, it's lagging and I lost the game. This sucks. So he had to get creative. He logged into the house's Wi-Fi router settings on his phone. And whenever his brother began stomping or yelling or throwing things, he would change the Wi-Fi password. Just one character. Here it goes. Well, when you do that, everything in the house would disconnect. He would wait about 20 seconds and then he would change the password back. Then things would reconnect. Now at first this made his brother even more mad because the game would just be cutting out in the middle of it. But after about a week, something interesting happened. Because every time he would stomp his feet or throw something or yell, he realized the game would get weird or disconnect entirely. So it's like Pavlov. Eventually, he just stopped crashing out altogether because subconsciously, crash out means Wi-Fi bad. And finally, his older brother was able to get his well-deserved rest. I'm a genius. Every kid at this one school got a Chromebook. It was for homework, and they were allowed to take it home. Well, this one kid's mom wanted to punish her kids one day, so she took away the Chromebook so they wouldn't have access to the internet. Mom, I need the Chromebook. I don't care, I'm locking it up until your behavior improves. Okay, well now, naturally, this kid's grades begin to sink because he doesn't have the Chromebook or the internet to do his homework every night. So the mom gets mad again. Your grades are absolutely horrible. Mom, you took the computer. I don't want to hear it. So the mom installs locks on this kid's bedroom door. And it wasn't like a cheap lock. It was a fingerprint lock. So if he wanted to sleep, he had to ask for permission. The mom also changed the house locks as well to only open for her fingerprint. So someday he would get home from school and he would have to wait outside. This is horrible. I hate my life. He explained to his teachers what was going on at home, and they tried calling the mom and talking some sense into her, but the mom always said, I know better than the school, I know better than you teachers, I know better than anyone, okay? This went on from when he was 14 to 18 years old. At 18, he moved out of the house immediately. And now the mom, of course, is like, hi, it's your mom. Why don't you come see me anymore? You never visit. He never visits. I wonder why. This guy went to a friend's house for dinner. Everything was chill until the milk came out. It was a really big family. They were at the table, it was loud. Every single person there gets a glass of milk. And milk for you, 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 milk for me. Bruh. Well, then it starts getting weird. The dad reaches over and grabs his son's milk. Hey son, let me see your cup. I'm done with mine. And he pours his leftover milk into his son's cup. Then the mom decides she's done with her milk, so she pours her milk into her daughter's cup. And this just keeps going. When everyone decides they're done drinking milk, they pour it into somebody else's cup. So like milky backwash just rotating through everybody. Now the guest, he's just like, what is going on here? If someone finishes their milk and they want more, I want some more milk, Mom. Oh, that's perfect. I'm done with mine. I'll give you it. She just pours it into his cup. At this house, milk does not get wasted. It does not get poured down the sink. It gets recycled. And if everybody at the table is done with their milk, but there's still milk in the cups, they pour that milk back in the carton. And my friends, that is absolutely disgusting. They had just moved into a house in the woods. All right, family, here we are. Go check the place out. We're gonna be so happy here. So they'd only been there for a few weeks. Every once in a while, some wild turkeys would show up in the yard. 5, maybe 6 of them, and they would just wander around. Nobody thought anything of it. Hey, look kids, the turkeys are back. Yay! Well, Thanksgiving comes around, and although there are turkeys by the house, this guy doesn't hunt one, he goes to the store and buys one. He cooks the turkey, the table's all set, and now the dining room table is right in front of this giant window. Well, he puts the cooked turkey down, he grabs his carving knife, and he starts to carve this turkey. Okay. Well, as he's deep into the carving, he looks up and out the window. I kid you not, there were 15, maybe 20 wild turkeys lined up, staring directly inside this guy's window as he's carving the turkey he just cooked. What is happening? Honey, I'm hungry. Is food almost ready? Sweetie, look. They're watching us. What? He lowers the knife, takes the turkey, brings it into another room where there are no windows, and he finishes carving it there. And then once this guy moved to a different room, one by one, those turkeys went back into the woods. That is wild. It started small. This kid brought a few things from home that day. A headphones, a hoodie, and some random collectibles. And somebody jokingly goes, "I'll trade you my Jordans for those headphones." He says, "Okay." And that's the moment it clicks. The next day he comes to school and that duffel bag he brought of stuff is heavier. And he starts telling people during lunch to meet him in the bathroom. And everything he had was up for trade. "Okay guys, line up. Here's what I got. What do you got?" And the value is negotiated right there on the spot. A hoodie for a watch for AirPods, AirPods for a portable speaker shaped like SpongeBob SquarePants, a portable speaker shaped like SpongeBob SquarePants for a porcelain plate that someone stole from their grandma's house that's worth a lot of money. Okay, I think we all did good today. We happy? Yep. Perfect. By week 3, there's a huge line of people holding random objects trying to trade with this kid, because the best part is you were never sure what he was gonna bring. Some of the stuff that was traded included shoes in a plastic bag, electronics, gift cards, jewelry. Bro, that's a PlayStation 5. I know. Now say you wanted something nice, but the thing you had to trade didn't equal the value. Okay, I'll trade you this for that, but tomorrow you gotta bring me something else to make it even. Deal. So now there's credit on the line. And that's when it gets dangerous, because if someone didn't follow up with their end of the deal, there was arguing, fights, full-blown bathroom brawls. And then came the bandits, bigger kids that stormed into the bathroom one day and stole everything. "Hey, Pipsqueak, give us the stuff." I knew I should have hired security. That's another lesson. Always hire security. The school then gets involved in a pretty major way. Suspensions, confiscations, meetings with parents who are finding out for the first time that their kid traded their family heirloom for a frickin' SpongeBob speaker. That bathroom was closed down for the rest of the year. But nobody ever forgot that underground trading post in the school bathroom. She's on her first date at this guy's place, and he's cooking dinner. What's for dinner? Food. Now his place has this rustic cabin vibe. Wooden floors, dim lights. There's a weird smell that she noticed, but she thinks it's just an old house. "I'm noticing a weird smell. It's probably because it's an old house." Well, at that moment, this guy's dog walks into the room and just unloads a 30-second pee right in the middle of the floor. She's trying to get his attention. Stop. No. Your dog, he's peeing. He doesn't turn around, he just says, "Oh yeah, he does that sometimes." Well, then she asks if there's a towel she can help him clean up the pee. "Since you're cooking, I can clean it up." But he says this, "Nah, you can just leave it. I'll spray some Febreze on it later, let it dry by itself." And that's when it hits her. The smell wasn't the cabin. That soft spot on the floor wasn't just old wood. It was the dog's bathroom. And dogs sometimes pee inside, but he never cleaned his dog's pee up. He just put Febreze on it. She politely sat there and ate dinner. Then she leaves and never texts him ever again. That's nasty. This neighbor tried to get them in trouble. This mom and her kids moved into this small neighborhood, and at first it's quiet and nice, but one day the neighbor tries to give them a hard time. He called the city on her, claims the shed that's in her backyard is illegal and needs to be torn down. Their shed in the backyard is illegal and needs to be torn down. Well, the inspector shows up, checks the permit, checks the shed, everything's fine. He leaves. The shed is perfectly legal. It's been there for years. The neighbor's just being difficult for no reason. The neighbor keeps acting smug, keeps calling the city on them for different things every single day. Well, that's when one of the kids starts to do some digging, Googling city codes, property lines, utility easements, and that shiny new pool the neighbor had. It was built too close to the fence, and it was built directly over the utility line, so very illegal. One day the kid goes out there and starts taking pictures, and we see this pool. Photos sent to the city, reports filed, and the city gives him a choice. You gotta move the pool or fill it in. How am I supposed to move the pool? Exactly. So he was forced to drain it, tear up the concrete, and fill it in with dirt. $40,000 down the drain, quite literally. And that is some petty revenge. This could have been so bad. In this one class, he used to sit in the same seat every single day. Front row in the middle, nothing too special about it. Well, one particular morning, he noticed the person that usually sits right to the left of him was absent. So there was an empty desk right there, and he decided for that day he was gonna sit there. Class then starts like normal. About 25 minutes in, there's a large crack. Then another. Then the overhead projector that is directly above his normal seat falls down and crashes onto that empty desk. That could have been you. Yeah, I know. and it went down fast. The desk was now cracked. Imagine if he was sitting there. The room was frozen, like holy crap, this could have been horrible. Maintenance comes in, they pick it up, they make sure nobody's hurt, and then they just go on about their day. But that day could have gone a whole lot differently if his classmate wasn't sick, and if he decided he wasn't gonna switch seats. But he did, and life went on. Somebody's looking out for him. His parents bought a house from a guy that owned a bowling alley, and the garage was stacked floor to ceiling with old wooden bowling pins, like surrounding the garage 10 feet high. So whenever they lit a fire in the fireplace, his dad would say the same thing. "Hey son, go grab me a pin." "Okay, sure thing, Pops." Then his dad would use that wooden bowling pin to start a fire in the fireplace, and to him, that was normal. Bowling pins equaled logs. Well, years later, he's at his first sleepover at his friend's house. It's a cold night, and the friend's dad wants to start a fireplace in the fire. "Okay, everyone, I'm gonna start a fire." Well, this kid sees this as a moment that he can help. He wants to be helpful, so he stands up immediately. "Cool, I'll help. Where do you keep your bowling pins?" "Bro, what?" They were all confused, like, "What do you mean, where do you keep your bowling pins, you freaking weirdo?" The dad finally laughs and explains to him that people can just use logs to start a fire, not bowling pins. And that's when it hit him. He was the weird one. His entire childhood fireplace experience was insane. And then he watched his friend's dad light a regular log in the fireplace, and he was disappointed. Because he said, bowling pins, they burned better. That's crazy.
ফাইনাল ডিসিশন লইছি আজকে রাতে কিন্তু আপনার লগে ঘুমাবো।
আমার লগে কেন বাজান? আপনি আমার লগে ঘুমাইবেন কেন?
জিন্দেগি তুই এইটা আর পোষাইতে পারবি না। বাজার তোর আমি সাজিয়ে দিতাছি তুই জলদি
ক্যাচেল লাগাইছে।
মা তুই এক কাম কর, জামাই লইয়া শ্বশুর বাড়ি জাগা। ওন মা শ্বশুর
এই তো একেবারে বাঘের বাচ্চা।
ফুদি দে।
আচ্ছা বাঘের মতন যাবি।
আমি কইতাছি ওখানে খুইলা আসো, নালে আমি তাই না ছিড়া ফেলামু কইলাম।
আমার খানদানি পোশাক তুমি তাই না ছিঁড়া ফেলাইবা?
আমার ফোন দাও।
নিবারা আমারে কইছো বন্ধুর লগে কথা কও, তুমি তো এঞ্জেল সোনিয়ার লগে কথা কও কি?
তারপর বউরে দিয়া হাত পাটি পাইছে, এর বাদে বউরে কইছে পানি লয়ে আহো। বউ পানি লয়ে আইছে, এই পানি দিচ্ছে ফালায়া।
আম্মা আব্বা রুডি সুরত দেখছেন? রুডি এরকম তেরে বাগা খেলা, হ্যাঁ? রুডি সুন্দর। আব্বা আমারে না হয় তুমি বুঝাইলা, তুমি তোমার খানদানের কি বুঝাইবা, আমার আত্মীয় স্বজনের কি বুঝাইবা?
আমি দুঃখিত।
বইয়ের হাতে মার খাওয়া চলে, তাই কিছু কই নাই কা।
আমাগোর খানদানে জামাই মারনের নিয়ম নাই কা।
তুই আমার এখান থেকে যাবি না মানে কি? অক্ষণ তুই বেরোবি।
আব্বা
কুইলজা কাপে না?
ওই বেটা ওই তোর কইলজা কাপে না মিছা কথা কইতে, হ্যাঁ? হারাম খোর জানি কোনানকার।
মাগার মারামারিতে এক নম্বর।
আমি পারি। এখন মনটা চাইতেছে তোমার কান্দের উপর চড়ায় একটা আস্তান মারি।
ঠিক আছে ভাই, তাহলে আমার মুখ চুপ বন্ধ থাকবো, আর কেউ আমি কিছু কমু না, মুখে কষ্ট।
এখন লাইনে আইছস।
তুমি বাসে আসার পর থেকে আমাকে বাসে শান্তি সব চলে লাগেছে।
আয় হায় খাইছে কুছোটা কি তুমি?
তুমি একটা ভিডিও কল করে পাঠাও প্লিজ, প্লিজ। কবে আমগো দেখা
কোচিনটা কি এটা আব্বার লগে এমন চিপা মাইটা দিয়েছেন? কেমন খানদান বউ? তারপর তো ভয় কাঁচে মুচু খায়া গেছে গা, তারপর আবার দুর্নাম করতে হইব। এই তোর কি তো দামি ফোন?
আইসে বাপ জান রাইতে ঠিকঠাক মতো ঘুমাইছে তো? নাকি বাসায় গিয়া আব্বাজান রে কইবেন?
কি করছো যেটা তুই? বাজার রে বাজার, যাও চলছে আজকাই তোর শেষ।
সম্মান সব পঞ্চার করে দিছে।
মাগার দোষ আমারও আছে, আমি একটু বেশি বাড়াবাড়ি করে ফেলছি। চলো না আমরা বাড়িতে ফিরে যাই।
তুমি কি পাগল হয়ে গেছো নি? এটাই আমার বাড়ি এখনতে।
চৌধুরী সাহেবের সাথে আমি কি কথা কইছি? তুমি কোনো কথাই কই নাই কা? সাজান তোমারে কইলো এত
দিচ্ছেন, হ্যাঁ দিচ্ছেন না? এলা বাইরন, আমার বাড়িতে বাইরন।
একবারে হাসা করছেন আব্বাজান। আপনার পোলার এই বাড়ি থাকার কোনো বিতলামি করলে আমি তোরা ঘাড়াই, কিন্তু ভাবলাম আপনাকে একমাত্র পোলা ঘাড়াইলে আবার দিলে চোট পাই।
দিতাছো তুমি?
শোনো, তোমাগো খানদানে যেমন কিছু নিয়ম আছে, আমাগো খানদানেও আছে।
এইসব ফাত্রা নিয়ম কেউ যেন জানবার না পারে, মনে থাকবো তো? তোর যে নতুন বাবি, বিষ খাস? বিষ বিষ কিনা লইছ?
আমি অ্যাঞ্জেল সোনিয়ার লাগে কথা কইলে তোমার সমস্যা কোথায়?
আমার সমস্যা নাই কা?
হ্যাঁ বাদে বউ আবার পানি লয়েছে, সেই পানি বিদিছে ফালায়া। এমতে করে বউয়ে বারবার পানি আনে আর জামাই বারবার পানি ফালায় দেয়।
বাড়ি হইতাছে মায়া গো আসল ঠিকানা।
তোর বাপে ঠিকই কইছে, সাজান যদি আর একটা সপ্তাহ আমগোর বাইক থাকে।
এই খুশির খবরটা তো আমি আমার বাসায় দিয়ে দিচ্ছি। আমার আব্বা আপনারে ফোন দিয়া কথা কইব।
হয়েছে তোমার? এই বেটা এই, তুই তো আমার মানিজ্জত সব শেষ করে দিত।
শুধু কি আপনার মান সম্মান আব্বাজান?
কি কইতাছো এগুলো তুমি? তুমি কইতাছোটা কি? এখন সময় আছে, তোমার আমি স্বামী হিসেবে।
আমি তোমার লগে অনেক খারাপ আচরণ করছি, তুমি আমার কথা রাগ করো না। চলো না বাড়িতে ফিরে যাই।
আমি যে মারছি এটা যদি ব্যাপারতে জানে, মান সম্মান কিছুই থাকবো না। আমি মুখ দেখাবো কেমতে?
আপনাকে পুরো খানদানে মান সম্মান শেষ।
না 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 না,
আমরা হইলাম বড় খানদান, আমগুলো গেছে খানদানি রেওয়াজ দেখাইতে। খানদানি কেচা লাগবো মনে হইতাছে?
আপনার মায়ের লগে একটু ক্যাচেল হইছে তো, তার জন্য পরে কমুনে আপনার
কে চালু হইছে না?
His parents bought a house from a guy that owned a bowling alley, and the garage was stacked floor to ceiling with old wooden bowling pins, like surrounding the garage 10 feet high. So whenever they lit a fire in the fireplace, his dad would say the same thing. "Hey son, go grab me a pin." "Okay, sure thing, Pops." Then his dad would use that wooden bowling pin to start a fire in the fireplace, and to him, that was normal. Bowling pins equaled logs. Well, years later, he's at his first sleepover at his friend's house. It's a cold night, and the friend's dad wants to start a fireplace in the fire. "Okay, everyone, I'm gonna start a fire." Well, this kid sees this is a moment that he can help. He wants to be helpful, so he stands up immediately. "Cool, I'll help. Where do you keep your bowling pins?" Bro, what? They were all confused, like, what do you mean, where do you keep your bowling pins, you freaking weirdo? The dad finally laughs and explains to him that people can just use logs to start a fire, not bowling pins. And that's when it hit him. He was the weird one. His entire childhood fireplace experience was insane. And then he watched his friend's dad light a regular log in the fireplace, and he was disappointed. Because he said, bowling pins, they burned better. That's crazy.